Hi there. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm Sweet Baby James, otherwise known as James Maynard.
And tonight I'm going to be talking about mutual dependence.
Oh no, not dependence.
Yes, why we don't like it, and how to transform it into mutual support. And meanwhile, I'm looking to see if this is going to come on so that we can look at the comments. No luck so far.
Let's look at the video
Okay.
slide.
Okay, so
Oh,
why
there
don't
we are.
you
We're
share
on. Yes.
with everyone, James,
Yes, indeed.
who we
Welcome
are, what we're
everybody
doing.
to Granny Rocks Our World, otherwise known as GROW. And here we have the opportunity to hear Granny share her wit, her wisdom, and her very uncommon sense that ultimately winds up making a lot of sense. And this is every Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, so stay with us. Now, over to you, Granny.
Hi there. Okay, so how do you even feel when you hear the word dependence?
Ooh.
Like you're dependent. So, please comment and let us know you're here because I'm not seeing any comments yet. So, if I said to you, the world is based on mutual support, maybe it would sound pretty good, right? But if I say the world is based on mutual dependence, that may not sound as good. So I want to look at that whole issue of why dependence feels so icky all the way around and how we can change our perspective on the whole thing. So, could somebody please comment so that we know that the comments are working? Because it already says that I've got 3 comments and I'm not seeing any of them. Okay? I'm going to type in a comment of hello and see if it shows up. Oh, I'm showing up. Okay. So, every one of us is actually dependent on the support. The support of others. We're dependent on others to fix the roads or build them, to grow the food or make the cloth or design the cars or run the internet. And we just can't get away from that, can we? I mean, I guess you can find one person on the whole planet who's living all by him or herself on an abandoned island, and then the only thing that person is dependent on is that the coconuts are dropping from the trees, right? But I see that there are all kinds of comments and they are not showing up. So I don't like this, but I don't know what to do about it. All right, Facebook. I'm dependent on Facebook, right? Ugh,
Right.
I hate it. So anyway, even if you have tons of money, you'll still have to hire people to do what you want. And that means you're dependent on them. You know? Maybe they don't do it right. Maybe you don't like them. Maybe they don't have time to do it when you want it to be done.
Even when you hire an independent contractor,
Indeed.
They're dependent on all the people that they work with.
That's right. There are so many other people that might, in fact, be there before you. Anyway, so even with money, you see, you can't. Todd says the comments are showing up for him. Well, wonderful. Maybe, Todd, you could write to me. I just saw that message. Maybe you could let me know what some of the comments are so that I can respond to them. In the meantime, I'm not having any luck here whatsoever. So, okay. So, as I said, even if you're using money, you're still dependent, guys. Let's not pretend. Now, if we're in the hospital, we are obviously dependent on the nurse, the doctor, and the techs and everything. Well, guess what? They're dependent on us too. If we're not there, the census of the hospital goes down, they lose their job. You see, there is nobody who is only in a position of power. Everyone is dependent. Ooh, see, like our children depend on us for all kinds of things, food and all that kind of stuff. But shelter, love, spending money, okay. But we're also dependent on them. We may need to feel important in the world. We may need to feel like we're doing something in the world. Oh, like I have my children. You see, and then I'm dependent on how they're behaving. And I don't like that, because if I'm dependent on how they're behaving, they may not be behaving the way I want them to be behaving. So there is no one-way street, guys. Let's say, and I'm going to talk about why we wouldn't like that. But before I do, I want to get further into this, because let's say you're the president and you want everybody, or the dictator, or the king, or the emperor, and you want everyone to be dependent on you, right?
Yeah.
But you're dependent on them too. You're dependent on their competence. You're dependent on their loyalty. You're dependent on their ability to do whatever it is you're asking them to do.
And even the food supply.
Tracy said hola, and Jamie Davis said good evening to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Tracy.
evening to you
Thank you,
too.
Jamie. Thank you, Todd, so much. Hey, you're solving the problem. So that's really great. Thank you. See, I'm dependent on Todd. What can I say? I love that. Thank you. So even the president or the king, and I said, Tado is here. Oh, I love that. Tado is here. Tado. Oh, Tado. So anyway, sometimes the president is dependent on people's silence. Now, even a king depends on his subjects to keep obeying him. A revolution occurs when enough people say no, and there are not enough forces to keep them in line. Like what's going on in so many nations around the world, people in the streets who are protesting and angry, or in China and so on. So, hey, why don't we like the concept even of mutual dependence? Why does it give us like a slime in our spine? And so many of us have spent our whole lives trying to pretend that we aren't dependent on
Yeah, we want to prove we are independent. Strong.
We're not dependent on anybody. Well, first of all, we don't want to be dependent on others, because see, mutual dependence is we depend on them and they depend on us. Let's start talking first on why we don't want to depend on others. They may use our dependence against us. Like emotionally, they may lord it over us, or they might treat us like a worm, and they know that we're dependent on them, and so they're not going to be. But you know what? I think I'm going to shut off this image of me talking, because I'm not seeing any comments anyway, and I'm depending on Todd, so now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Yes, thank you. Oh, what a relief. Only one screen at a time. So, so they may make us feel bad about ourselves. They may shame us. They may manipulate us emotionally. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because we're so dependent on them, so that they make us feel like worms, or like pariahs. If those of you don't know what a pariah is, somebody who's kind of clinging to somebody else. Now, we may not want this, because others may use our dependence against us on the physical level. Like, okay, I won't take care of you unless you do X or Y for me. Now, for example, I'll give you a very extreme example. I'm a very sick lady, and oh God, I had so much dependence today. Once I'm outside of my bed, well, even in my bed, I'm dependent. Oh, Jen, could you get me some hot water? Oh, I gotta get out. Could you help me get to the bathroom before it's too late? Or whatever it is. So, God, look at the time. I haven't even gotten through the beginning of this yet. All right, we're moving along. So, I'm very, 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 very physically dependent. Very, very, very. And I felt it so deeply today, because I was out of my wheelhouse. We had to go to the dentist. James went to the dentist, and I went to the dentist. But see, I couldn't reach the microwave, and I couldn't open the door, and I couldn't do this, and I couldn't do that. So now, supposing he wants something in exchange. Let's say he wants all my money in exchange for taking care of me, right? Or maybe he wants me to take his abuse. or maybe he wants something else. So, he may be asking me for something physical. Oh, if I take care of you, you're going to have to do all the bookkeeping, or you're going to have to iron my clothes, or you're going to have to do this. You're going to, not that James would ever ask me to do any of those things, because I can't iron clothes. Who irons anyway anymore? But forget that. So we may be dependent spiritually, and by spiritually I also kind of mean emotionally. Like, okay, if you want to be loved by me, you've got to do this for me. You've got to flatter me, right? You got to tell me I'm the greatest. You got to not confront my ego. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So that's one reason we don't want to be dependent on others, because they may use our dependency against us. Now, they may not do. Another reason is they may not do things the way we like. And what can we do about it? Okay, James is going to do the laundry. He never folds my clothes the way I want them to be folded. What am I going to do? Bitch and moan? Or, I wish I could just get up and do it myself. Right? Or I may not like the way he cleans the kitchen. Or he might not like the way I talk to him when I'm making suggestions about what I think he should do, because he's dependent on me too. He's dependent on me to figure out a lot of things. And he may say, oh, I'm really dependent on Beth to figure these things out, but I don't like her tone of voice when she talks to me. So you see, okay.
Not to mention, I feel embarrassed when I feel
yes.
I need you to solve
yes.
a problem that I think I should have been
Of course,
able
you
to
should solve all the problems, and we should get. Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So, what are we going to do? Are we going to try to find somebody else to be dependent on? I mean, is somebody else going to come into my life who's going to take care of me hand and foot? Okay, now, supposing they're not even capable of doing things the way we like. Maybe they don't have the clean gene, or the folding gene, or the sweet gene, or we don't like their cooking, or whatever it is. It's like, oh my God, this food tastes like shoe leather, but I've got to eat it because there's nobody else. So what are we going to do? We're stuck either with the choice of putting up with what they have to give, or we're getting nothing, honey. And by the way, Todd, since I'm not seeing any comments, I'm assuming nobody else is commenting unless you send me a comment that they're commenting, which is fine. They've probably given up on commenting. Anyway, another reason we don't like to be dependent on other people is because they can stop doing what they are doing for us. Let's say James says, I'm sick of taking care of you. I want somebody who's going to take care of me. Me. And then he leaves me for someone else. Oh.
A nurse. A nursemaid.
Right.
Caretaker.
Right. Someone who's going to caretake you. Right. Or our children form attachments to others and start pleasing other people instead of us. Oh my God, it sounds like there's another text, maybe from Todd, but it's not showing up on my computer. Okay, no comments yet. Okay, good. Thank you. That's a relief. I don't know why the no comments aren't showing up either on my desktop. Okay. Now, supposing the private nurse or the housekeeper, and I'm just using these examples. Oh, I just got Todd's comment. No comments yet. Thank you. Supposing the nurse or the housekeeper decides that she's going to get a better job that pays better, or with somebody who isn't as grumpy as I am. Terrible, right? Oh no, now they're going to leave me. Right. It's not always just like my husband or my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my children are going to leave. No, I mean, even people you pay can leave you. Oh no. Now, once they leave me, I'm stuck in the wheelchair, or I'm stuck with a mess that I can't handle, or I'm just stuck. You know what I'm saying? Another reason we don't like to be dependent is that others may think less of us, and I think that's what Sweet Baby James was referring to, is like, oh my God, that man, does he really need to depend on his wife to do his thinking for him? Or does he need his wife to do this for him, or to pick up his dry cleaning, or whatever it is? People may think badly of you, or they think, ooh, she's not really sick, she's just pretending. Oh, that poor guy, he's being used by that awful woman. We've always known that she was faking it. So, but they may be thinking less of whoever is dependent, right? Because you're not supposed to be dependent, right? You're supposed to, I don't know what you're supposed to be independent, be strong, be something, be flat. Okay, the next reason that we don't like this mutual dependence thing is that we have to reciprocate in some way. Reciprocate? I didn't know that that was part of the deal. We may have to pay people, and they may want more money than we want to pay, or that we even have the funds to pay, right? Or they might want us to reciprocate physically. Okay, you're doing this. Okay, I'm taking care of the children and I want you to make dinner. Well, maybe I'm too tired to make dinner, or I'm too tired to do this, or I'm too tired to wash the car this weekend, or I'm too tired to this, or I'm too reluctant to have sex with them. I don't want to have sex with them, and they want that in exchange, right? Or I don't want to take care of them when they're sick or needy. Ew, I don't want to take care of you. You're supposed to take care of me. Or I don't want to, do stuff with them when I'm tired. So if someone is dependent on me, that isn't any better than me being dependent on them. Think about it. Now, the major point in all of this is if there is no love, there is a constant feeling of shame and vulnerability around mutual dependence. And there is no joy in simply relating. By the way, my program says that I've had 17 comments, which obviously we're not getting. So what I'd like to say is, if you comment, I will be back. I will answer your comments after the show. Now, mutual dependence, the way I've just been describing it, feels like mutual blackmail. If you don't do this, then I won't do that. Or if you do this, I'm going to have to do that or do that. Now, the question is, how do we turn this around?
How do we?
Well, we transform mutual dependence into mutual support. It's different. It sounds different, and it is different. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. Let's say we want to be together. Sweet baby James and I want to be together. Okay. In order for us to be together, we need to maintain our home. We need to have food. We need to have a car that works. We need to earn money. We need to, pay our bills, in a timely fashion. We need to do a lot of things. Okay, we, the couple, and this could be true if you're in an office situation. It doesn't make any difference. I'm talking about it in personal relationships, but the same thing happens at work, right? We have something that we need to do together, and we just divide up the labor according to who's best at doing the job at hand. If you're a better cook and you have the time, for God's sakes, please cook. If you're a better problem solver in certain arenas, please solve the problem. I'm always willing to go in there and do my part, but we both can be making a contribution. But that only happens when we acknowledge, and this is the key thing, that we want to be together and that we are supporting the whole, which is our family or our business or our social club or our political party or our revolutionary movement or whatever it is. We really want to be together, and what can we all contribute so that it works? Oh my God, we're all doing something, and yes, we're all being mutually supportive. It doesn't feel like dependency because there is love, there is appreciation, there's a wanting to be together, there's a wanting to relate. The purpose of a relationship is to relate. Astounding idea, right? And mutual support makes it possible because we're both able to be there. Because if nobody made me food, I would be dead. And so sweet baby James might come in singing, la, looking for me to be laughing and making jokes with him, but I'm dead because I've died from hunger, because he hasn't fed me in 3 days. So, they've taken me out to the. I've been recycled. I've been put in the recycle bin. Do you understand what I'm saying? He isn't going to get the fulfillment of his need to have a relationship with me if he doesn't do his part. And that's what we are talking about. It's like, stop thinking of it as dependence with all those negative connotations and start thinking of it as the joy. I wish that everybody out there was in a situation where they had a job that gave them joy. And I hope you do. And if you don't, try to figure out some way to make that job more joyful. And one way is to relate to people when you get there. And I don't mean just to complain, which is, a lousy way to relate because it's just like it's all negative and you go down and it's like, right? But, come in with a joyful attitude and be a person somebody wants to relate to and find something in the other person that you want to relate to. And suddenly you can say, oh, have you finished the timesheets yet? Oh, no, let me get those for you. Do you see what I'm saying? When there's love, when there's relating, then we start feeling like we are co-creating a world. We are co-creating a world of mutual support. We need that in every single relationship we have, whether, as I said, whether it's work related or personal or your social club or your revolutionary movement. Whatever it is, your society, if we can do that, then we can overcome that dread of dependency and we can embrace the culture of co-creation and mutual support. I would like you to take in this homework. Think about your life. Which relationships feel like mutual dependence right now? Think about it. Where you have to do things for one another. You have to do things for your patients. You have to do things for your clients. You have to do. And how, think about those relationships that feel joyful and feel like they're coming together. And is there some way that you can co-create an environment of mutual support, relating, joy, and love in those situations where you're not feeling it now, where you're feeling the mutual dependence? So come back on next Monday and here's some more of Granny Rocks Our World at 6:30 Pacific time. And on Thursday, which is tomorrow, come here. I'm going to be playing the piano for you on Dreams of Peace.
Granny, could I ask you something?
Certainly.
In terms of next Monday's show, which is a follow-on from this one, are you going to be going into mutual support in terms of the highest good of all and how to work with that?
Oh, I would be delighted if you're asking.
Yeah,
I would
think
be
that
happy
would
to
really
do that.
complete the picture.
So don't let me forget that I'm going to
Okay.
talk about mutual support on a level of how do we accomplish that in our world and in our relationships.
Great.
So,
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. So here it is. We love you. And I'm sorry my comments didn't show up. Your comments didn't show up, but I guess there weren't too many. And I don't know what happens. But I don't know what to do.
But you will get to all of those comments once you get the Facebook working again.
If it ever does. But I am dependent on Facebook because I have no other way to reach you. And I would rather go through all this garbage to reach you. And that's how I feel about it.
Bravo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.